Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Check out my kitten. This is Quentin. He says hi. It's his recess time, so he is running around being crazy. I am updating my end of Dewey's Readathon. So I had a good readathon. I hope everybody else did too. It looks like we had really good participation this year across just about all of our sites. So as far as the admin side went, it was a little bit more admin work than I usually do because we had a lot of people that were out for various reasons. We did add a new admin, so we had a new person running our Instagram yesterday, and I've heard no complaints, so I'm guessing that went well. I don't have a smartphone, so Instagram is hard for me to maintain. So that was exciting. We got a new person. Her name's Liz. Hopefully that she'll stick around and be one of our admins for quite a while. Yeah, I finished a stack of books. So it's the reason I do such a big book stack is I never know what mood I'm going to be in when I start a readathon. It's even more so since I started doing admin stuff because my mood, once I actually start running all the sites while trying to read my books, is quite a bit different from if I was just settling in with a book by myself. So I actually started my readathon reading sort of the night before, which is how I finished Depths of Glory. It is finally done. This was a biographical novel about the artist Camille Pissarro, one of the Impressionists. He studied under Corot and was around the same time as Cézanne. His art was a little bit less extremely impressionist than Cézanne, according to the general public. It always baffles me, this period. This is when a lot of those modern artists were doing their own shows because they couldn't get their work into the official salon shows. So they'd start their own, and there'd be riots because the general public was so upset by their artwork. I find it hard to imagine riots because of their art. It's not because of naked people. This is not like, some of the riots you see from extremist groups because, they're naked people in a picture. No, this is just because the style is impressionist or some other way modern. And they just can't handle it, I guess. The Americans are like, just don't go to that show. Oh, good grief. But it was a big deal. And Camille Pissarro's life was kind of interesting and spans the long enough period that you get a lot of the history of that part of the art world at the same time. So I can see why you'd pick this guy as a focus for a novel, because it brings in kind of the story of that whole art scene alongside kind of what it's like to be a guy growing up as a non-practicing Jewish artist in France during the time that he was working. So I liked it. It felt a little bit long for a while, but I augmented my reading by using Pinterest and looked up the artists as they were name dropped in the book so that I could remind myself what their art looks like. I did an art degree as one of my degrees in college, so I did know when I picked this book up who Pissarro is. And I do like his stuff fairly well. And actually, one of the other books I read for the readathon was an artist that I'd not heard of before, but was the book I got as a buy one, get one free with the Andrew Wyeth book. So this one, Buck Shivett's Memories. I actually like this guy's art a lot. And what was interesting to me, besides just that this guy's life was so much easier as an artist than Pissarro's. So this is a guy in Texas, more modern as far as time periods. But he's working in Impressionist style a lot too, and kind of develops his own style. And I will open this book to one of my favorites. I'll show you a couple of my favorites. So you get some idea of what this art is like. So you can't see it very well, but that's one of my favorites. It's about pelicans in, I think Texas still. It might have been Louisiana by that point. Intercoastal Canal, in any case. So he does his own style, but if you had to categorize it, it would be Impressionist. He has beautiful colors. I really like his colors. So look at the artwork. That's beautiful stuff. I would not mind if this artist became a bit more well known, because then I'd have more cheap prints available. You know those the things where they bring like $5 and $10 prints to college campuses, and they have this, huge massive tables, and college students buy posters for their dorms. I bought a few pictures during the last one that I was present for. And I wouldn't mind it if this artist was one that was more available at those kinds of things. So this book I might actually keep. I liked the artwork well enough, and the writing was actually okay. A lot of the writing is actually by the artist. He actually does an introduction and talks about his work and talks about life as an artist a little bit. So the voice in the text is nice. This is the one I want a good poster print of. It's pretty. This one is called Out of Stonewall. And this one actually is two buildings that were not right next to each other, but he put them together because it made for a nice composition. A lot of his others are more just architectural drawings, looking at buildings that he thought were really cool. And I do like that he likes architecture too, because I think I like that element of his work a lot. So that was a successful book, Impressionist, and kind of like what American Impressionism kind of looks like. He was successful early enough on that he could publish several books of his work and sell them. This is one of quite a few, if you look it up on Goodreads to check it off for Readathon. He's got quite a few books he's put together that show his sketches and his drawings and his paintings and talk about his work and talk about where it comes from. And people read them, people buy them, people respect him as an artist. He wasn't vilified or pauperized the way Camille Pissarro kept running into being. He could live the way he wanted, and people accepted that. Very different sort of art story. I'm sure that you could write a novel in which Chivitz's life could be more like Pissarro's, and you could frame it in a way where all the bad stuff comes to the front, and it would look, a little bit more similar to Pissarro. But still, there's a difference in attitude about artists here. So I liked that. The other book I read that was an art book was also about an American artist. So Andrew Wyeth. This book, the art was okay. It was a lot of lesser known sketches and paintings that come from those sketches. That I think they're mostly in chronological order. So that was nice. You could kind of see a progression if he worked on these, and then these became the studies for this painting. And but the book was written by somebody else. The text is so sentimental. And what I like about Andrew Wyeth is the more down-to-earth, matter-of-fact sort of attitude. He's not drawing pretty scenes with, romanticized characters and beautiful scenes where he's created the trees in the right places so that they line up just right. And he's painting, the way fabric ripples in a breeze in an open window, and the folds of a jacket that's hanging on a peg, and textures and shapes, and that's what he seems to be getting at. It's not mushy, but the text in this book is mushy. So this is why you don't read coffee table books, because the text sometimes is rather less impressive. So I actually gave this book a 3 on Goodreads. I like the art. I still always like Andrew Wyeth's art. I did not enjoy this book. I won't be keeping it. There's one painting in this one that's one of my favorites, but it's one that there's prints of. It's that one with the thin lace curtain blowing in the breeze and an open window, and that's actually one that there are prints of quite often at those college poster sales. So if I really want it, I can get that one. I also really like the one with the boots, like the empty boots. That one's not in this book. So he talks about it, he mentions it, but it's not in this book. So I don't need to keep that one. I was expecting that was going to be the one I'd keep, and the other art book I wouldn't. So totally the other way around. I finished Omen Ra, which was bizarre, but in a good way. It actually ended funny. So yeah, this is actually one of my favorites, along with the Buck Shivitz book. And then I finished Living Treasures. This one's the one about ordinary people that do interesting things in New Mexico. It was really good. I'm not keeping it. I will probably donate it. It's the kind of thing that might be interesting for places that need coffee table books, basically. Sorry. And then I also finished The Tenant of Wildfell Hall as a audiobook by Anne Bronte. That one actually turned out interesting. It was a lot more modern and feminist than I was expecting for a piece of Victorian literature. The main female character for most of the book ends up married to a alcoholic who's abusive, and she gets out. And that seems like the core plot of the book, which I was not expecting. Not only that it would be about spousal abuse and alcoholism and how that destroys their family, but also that she gets out and she has a happy ending to her life, that this works. And it's definitely the sort of novel that was written by a woman. I've finished quite a few Victorian era works this year. The ones written by men, they can be really good. They can be, sympathetic to the female perspective, but I don't think that this particular novel, Tenant of Wildfell Hall, could have been written by a man. And this is definitely a very female perspective, especially for the time period, what it would be like to actually be a woman going through this at that time. So I like that. The ending of that book didn't stick with me as much. It's like after that particular plot line resolved, the book wasn't over, but the story was, kind of. So the happy ending hadn't happened yet, so we still had to get to that. But it was like the writing just wasn't as compelling for me as the middle of the book. So I'm glad I did it as an audiobook, because I could listen to it while doing admin stuff for the Readathon. So when it got so that I might have put it down and forgotten about it, I was just listening to it while doing other things. A lot of admin stuff doesn't require a lot of focus, so you really can do an audiobook and make sure your posts are actually posting when you said they should and stuff like that. So anyway, those are the ones I finished. I read bits of Purity, which is still annoying. I still don't like Purity. She is annoying. I read up to page 40 of this one, and I was hoping to get more of it done as my last reading sprint, but I forgot that where I'd left off, like page 10 or something like that, it was starting to get into deep sea biology. So the 30 pages I read during the last sprint, it was all deep sea biology, which I really like. I've done screenshots of deep sea dives for a couple different social media things. So yeah, I got bogged down reading those because it's so fascinating, and studying little diagrams of how crinoids and other deep sea things used to look and how they worked before the modern ones. And they're very similar, but there have been some improvements or changes over the eons. And I read some of this one, but I didn't really get into it. I was expecting to do a lot more murder mysteries than I did. I only read part of this one murder mystery, which is totally not like me usually my readathons are very heavily on the short, fast murder mystery types. So this is why I have such a big stack. I never know which ones I'm actually going to read. And then I read part of this one. I had forgotten with this one why it takes a little while to get into PJ O'Rourke, because he's a conservative. This book was published in the 90s, in 1992-93. And what it meant to be a conservative versus a liberal in the 90s was slightly different from what it means now. And it's important to remember the subtle differences in those definitions and in practical terms between then and now when reading his book, because when he's ranting about liberals, there are still similarities, but they're not quite the same thing. And it's subtle enough that it's easy to get your fur ruffled reading his rants. If you think of yourself as a modern liberal, there are still people that are liberals that are totally what he's describing and are annoying for fellow liberals. So I get it. But our politics don't quite align, so some of his humor is a little hard to get into. He's basically doing a combination of talking about his perspectives from being a journalist with kind of stand-up, but in a book form. And so, when you watch a stand-up comedian whose point of view you don't really share, they can still be funny, but, you're not quite with them on it. That's how I feel reading this book right now. And I didn't get very far into it because I just wasn't really clicking with it. I'll read more of it. The Deweys Readathon will be continuing unofficially for the rest of the week as the cool down week. This is something that I tried already in a previous readathon, and it worked really well, just having a week where we're not really manning anything. We just have certain threads open to continue to read and talk about what you're reading for the rest of the week as an extension of the Deweys Readathon. Because otherwise, it's quite a shock going from 24 hours straight to normal life again. It doesn't work very well. This is what starts other readathons. The Shadow Lounge Readathon began quite a few years ago now, when myself and two other readers from the Deweys Readathon, coming off of an October one, needed more readathon and started another readathon. So the Shadow Lounge Readathon happens sort of the second weekend of every month. Every month, it's still going. It's on Facebook and sort of Goodreads. I keep intending to make the Goodreads group more active again, and then I get busy. So maybe this year I'll start making the Goodreads Shadow Lounge Readathon more exciting, because I like Goodreads a lot. Kinda. I have issues now. They've changed stuff, and I don't like it as much, but I still like Goodreads. So that grew out of needing more readathon. So I think having a week-long cool down will help with some of the yearning for more. And then there's also Shadow Lounge Readathon. And there's also a lot of readathons on YouTube, obviously. And I joined in a couple online sprints that folks were having on the various live streams on here yesterday as well. Just, one sprint from each of them. Usually I'd come in near the tail end, having done admin stuff and wanting to sit down and read. So I joined in a couple different sprints. It was fun. Chatted with people about books briefly, and did some of my own reading with company without being an admin. So that was nice. And I will probably look for more reading sprints to join in on. I like the semi-social effect of reading sprints where, other people are also reading. It's like a reading party, except they're not in your own house. So that's nice. All right, say goodbye, kitten. Goodbye. Yes, I know. You were super cute. All right, kitten is bored. I need to get ready and do some yard work and catch up on all the chores that I wasn't doing yesterday while I was reading. So I will catch you later. Let me know in the comments if you did Dewey's Readathon and how it went. And if you are doing any readathon-y or reading sprinty sorts of things that you think I might want to join in on. Because now that I'm done with my big admin responsibility for this season, I'm back to being able to join in other people's things. And I'm definitely going to be doing some more joining in as a participant for reading stuff for the rest of the year. Talk to you later. Bye, guys.